Well, how much time do you have? I think we've spent a couple of years already planning for this. We have a whole matrix of things that have to be delivered, and I think the key elements are we have the right partners. The AIFF has been unbelievably supportive. We have a great media partner in Star, who's an investor. We have Reliance and IMG. So we think we've put together great pillars to execute a tournament. And the other thing is that we have been very successful in bringing in partner clubs. And if you look at our ownership list, not only the stars involved, the sports and Bollywood celebrities, but the actual business people that have put up a lot of money to be owners in the club, we feel very strong. So that's the basis of the success that we think that we're going to have. And then from there, we have an extremely detailed execution plan that we've got to do through now and the opening of the tournament.
So we have come to know that you guys have been already tied up with Berkeley's Premier League. So could you please detail the issue?
Sure. The Premier League knows Star very well because they broadcast through Star. We as IMG know Star. We know the Premier League very well because we're based in London. We do a lot of things with the Premier League. So when we were working on this, we went to the Premier League and Richard Scudamore discussed the idea and what we were doing with the ISL. And it took them about a day to come back and say, we're very interested in being involved. And then from there, we created a memorandum of understanding whereby we detailed things that we're going to do, knowledge exchanges, referee training, anti-corruption addresses, governance issues, organizations of clubs, workshops, all of these things are really knowledge exchanges between the Premier League and the ISL.
Do you have any certain plans to execute, like keeping an eye of the Under-17 FIFA World Cup, which will be held in India in 2017, and so is the Under-20 World Cup, which will be to follow that?
Sure, that's a great point. We think that for a few things. First, the organization that we're going to create in terms of executing operations, and we've hired some people that have just recently come back from the World Cup, world-class operational people that know how to execute a FIFA global tournament. And that knowledge hasn't really existed in India. You've got great cricketing knowledge, but you haven't had football knowledge in terms of a tournament. So we're going to build a base of people, both foreigners but Indians, who have knowledge of putting on a football tournament. That's going to be very helpful for that. Secondly, from a sales and marketing standpoint, we just announced our title sponsor. That's the largest amount of money that's ever been committed to football in India by far. And if you look at it compared to what you're getting in cricket, it's about 25 or 30%. Well, that's a huge statement if we think that on that metric we're 25 or 30% of the IPL. I'm not saying we are, but in the metric of the expenditure of a sponsor, we have achieved that. That kind of commercial organization, programming organization, will then also be applied to the 2017 World Cup, as well as the ability to help create stars around the young boys who are going to participate. So all of the things that we're doing now are going to be skill sets that are going to be applicable to India, I think, having a fantastically successful Under-17 World Cup.
Well, one thing I want to add is that to build a proper sporting nation, whether it's cricket or football or hockey, it's important to create a sports culture. That means a football culture or cricket culture.
Sure.
And how much an impact, how big an impact rather, the players like Capdeville and Luis Garcia and Borja Fernandez, players like them will bring into this Indian football.
Well, I'm not Indian, so it's hard for me to say. I know, these guys aren't Lionel Messi by the same token. Won a World Cup, that has a lot of credibility. You played on top European clubs, that has a lot of credibility. We want these guys to be inspirational, especially to the kids in the local area for the clubs that they play for. And I think they'll bring a lot to that. So I'm very optimistic because the type of people that we've been involved with to bring here from a marquee standpoint are the type of good citizens as well, not just players and well-known guys who are going to be ambassadors for the game of football. To get back to your point about creating a footballing culture, that's what you need. You need children to go and touch and feel these stars and be inspired by them, not just cricketers.
Okay, Wajung Bhutia, I don't know if you're aware of the fact that, I know actually, last day in the press conference he mentioned that he's not happy with the price cap of the bowlers because he feels it's a 40 can attack even the price cap of 35 lakhs or 40 lakhs is not just good enough for the footballers to concern.
Sure.
So, he also opted for the, theme of doing an auction for the next highest of the division.
Sure.
So do you have any specific plans for that?
I think, as we mentioned earlier, we're taking this 1 year at a time, and we're learning a lot, and we're going to constantly improve. So we'll take the learnings from not only the last 2 days of the draft, but this whole season, and come back and say, okay, guys, we'd like to do this, we'd like to do that. We will do that in conjunction with the clubs, as we've done so far, where we'll listen to them, we'll talk to them, understand what's important to them, and then make decisions based on what we think is in the best interest of the league.
Well, the basic problem in Indian football and culture, actually, to have specific world-class football and pitch. The biggest stadium in Asia, as well as one of the biggest stadiums in the world, is in Kolkata. That's Yuva Bharati Kuranga. That's Salt Lake Stadium. But that too have a very quality pitch. And to create and to produce quality football is the most important thing you should have in your ranks, is quality pitch. So, do you have any specific plans to improve that integrity?
Well, again, I think I mentioned that earlier, our key deliverable for the stadia was pitch. We know that we can't transform the structure of the stadia. We said we're going to make sure we have the best pitch possible. So we are working on that. We've hired world-class experts from Wembley. We're investing 25 crore in stadia refurbishment. We've been doing this for a while. That doesn't mean that every pitch is going to be perfect. I worked as the CEO of Inter Milan, and we had terrible pitch at San Siro with Inter and AC. So there are going to be places where we might not be able to get a great pitch. Unfortunately, that exists. But we've made that a number one priority in terms of stadia refurbishment, and we've put a lot of money against it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.